Hi, hello. Welcome to my monthly wrap up for October. This month I have like 14 books that I read. I did my best. Oops, sorry. You're on a coffee table and I just touched it, so you shook a little bit. I did my best in October to try to catch up on my reading goal because I was 16 books behind for my end of year goal. I read 14, so in fact by the end of the month I was still 2 behind. And right now I'm a singular book behind. So, kudos to me for catching up to the best of my ability. So we're going to run down the list of the books that I read. Book 1 on the docket was Lore Olympics Volume 7. I give this 3 out of 5. Now, Lore Olympics, if you don't know, is a webtoon turned graphic novel that's being released like one by one. And Volume 7 got released in October. And it follows Persephone and Hades through a very urban-esque world where they obviously are to fall in love. It's supposed to be romantic. I was told that it was romantic-esque, and maybe that was my fault. So you follow the Greek myths with Hades and Persephone, so it is trigger warning for all the things that happen in Greek myths with like Athena and Zeus and all the other ones. I don't really know. Here's the thing. At this point, I'm tired of it. I am tired of Hades and Persephone just dancing around each other. I am over it. I've read at this point over 1,000 pages of graphic novel with literally no reward. And I'm over it. I think Volume 8 is like the final one. I'm donezo. Because also my friend told me what happens at the end, and if that's correct, I'm going to be even more annoyed. So here we sit. Do I think this might have been more enjoyable if I knew Greek myths? A little bit, because some of them are beefing and I feel like I don't fully understand why or how or when. However, I think I'm done with the series. I'm over it, and I sold all 7 of my volumes. That's how annoyed I was at it. So next, Graveyard Shift, 3 out of 5. Bro, this book was a whole lot of nothing. Essentially, it is a crew of people who are smokers. They go out to the graveyard because the only place that they can smoke is out in the graveyard. And they catch a grave being like undug or like being redug or whatever. And weird and creepy things pursue from there. To me, this was genuinely like, I wanted it to be weirder. It wasn't. I wanted there to be more, and it wasn't. I just thought it was like meh. That's all. Like, I really don't even remember like any sort of real details from this book because it was just so I watched the live show for the Literally Dead book club because I read this because it was one of the 3 novellas that they were reading for the October book club. And the 4 guests on, or 3 of the 3 guests on the book club basically said, or maybe it was just Kayla, said that like this feels like they could have written 100 to 50 pages before the section we got, or 100 pages to like 50 pages afterwards. And I agree with that. It just feels like a middle of a book that someone just tossed out to you and thought, what do you think? And I agree with that, because what was that?
It gave you nothing.
Next, I read Binti, which I gave a 4 out of 5. It was a lot of fun. It's about Binti, who gets accepted into this school of sorts, and so she lives on a planet and has to take a spaceship to the planet that the school is on. And when she gets on the spaceship, chaos ensues, and she's a badass. So I really liked it. I think this one surprised me. I had no idea what it was about. I just saw that people had read Binti, and I had seen that people enjoyed it, so I just picked it up and kind of rolled with it, and I'm really glad I did. The next one, I read Figurative Telemetry. Also, if you're wondering what I'm looking at my notes for the book orders, like the order of books that I read. That sounds flipped.
A list of the order in which I read these books for the wrap-up.
There we go. So next was Figurative Telemetry, which is book 6 out of the Murderbot series. I did not read 5, because 5 is like the only one that's actually like novel length, and again, I was trying to meet my reading goal, so catch me, a lot of these are novellas. So I read 6, and I think I gave it at the time like a 3.75. I think now looking back, I'm gonna downgrade it to like a 3.5, 3. Because it was just like, I missed like the snark and banter, I think. of Murderbot himself, or themselves, sorry. I don't think they have gendered pronouns. So if you don't know what Murderbot is, it is essentially a robot in this world. They've hacked their governing systems. Like, they're originally just to like defend and to go on missions and to essentially like die and or to kill other people and things. And they hack their system, and they really just enjoy like watching trash reality TV and being alone. But unfortunately for them, they have to help humans who they find incredibly annoying. And they're often incredibly snarky. They also have like AI friends that are snarky that they banter with. And it makes it a lot of fun. However, book number 6, because book 6 is the events that happen before book 5. Or that's what I read in the synopsis. And I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of it. It's kind of a bummer how much I didn't like this one. Now, going on to the books that I do have in person. Sorry. The Brides of High Hill. Let me tell you what, this is my favorite out of the Singing Hills cycle. Granted, I have yet to read the first one. Sorry. My library doesn't own it. So, I've read all of these. And they've all been like, I think I've given them all like 3. I'm not a super big fan of them. They just are something I find interesting enough to pick up and read. But not like super enjoyable, if that makes sense. Like sometimes, you know. I don't know. I don't think that makes sense. But if, you know, it's a vibe. So this one is a 5. Not a 5. It might as well be, honestly. It's a 4 out of 5. It was a good time. You follow Cleric, what's his name? Chi! You follow Chi and Brilliance, his little bird. Or their little bird, because I don't know if Chi has gendered pronouns. Anyways. You follow Chi on adventures in this like novella series, and Brilliance is their bird, and they record histories and adventures because their job as a cleric is to record the histories of the world. And so they're often on little adventures. Here they're escorting a bride to her wedding. And what a little adventure we have here. I did not see the plot twist coming, even though I feel like if you know the animals on the cover, definitely give it away. And if you don't, have a good time. I really, 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 really liked this one. And I'm very excited for myself that I really did like this one, because I was like, maybe the next one will be even better. Because the 3 out of the 4 that I've read have just been like, not fully my vibe. But my vibe enough that I was like, I'll keep reading this series. So, next on the docket was Over the Wayward Wall. I gave this one, let me see, like a 3, 3.5. It's, if you've read Middle Game, then you know that the alchemy and the terrorizing of people is due to the story of Over the Wayward Wall and going to the impossible, improbable road type deal. And they always go back to the story. They always are referencing a story by A. DeBoer Baker. You can't see because my barcode covers it. But that is the author of this book, which is the same author of Middle Game. And so you follow the original people who go over the Wayward Wall onto the improbable road. And so you're just following the original characters. I was kind of hoping it'd give me a little bit more Middle Game vibe. It didn't, but it was a good time. Nonetheless, I wasn't mad at it. I wasn't overjoyed. Next. A Dark and Drowning Tide. Look at this cover. I literally picked it up because, hello? Hello. I gave this one a 4 out of 5. Dude, it was so yummy. Okay, rumor on the street this was Dark Academia, which is the second reason I picked this up. That's a lie. It is a gothic murder mystery. You follow Lorelai and who is this person? Sylvia. They are academic rivals. They work under the same advisor, and they're on a mission to like find this well of magic. And while they're on this mission journey, the mentor dies. And they have to figure out what's going on, what's happening, because there are stakes. It's also sapphic. It's a fun time. I loved it. This was so vibey for fall. I really, really enjoyed it. I really recommend it. And I love a grumpy, pissy tomboy. Just really speaks to my soul. Next, Dowry of Blood. Okay, babes, 4 out of 5. Worth the hype. I feel like it took me forever to pick up this book. I understand why everyone loses their mind on this one. Was so good. You follow, what's her name? Oh, Constantania? I don't know. Anyways, you follow her. She is a bride of Dracula, and this is kind of like her memoir. She's writing from the future and telling you like how she got to where she currently is by the end of the book. This was a good time. I really liked the way it was written. It went by so fast, and even though they tell you what's going to happen earlier on in the book, I was still like, when it did happen. It was a great time. I loved it. I understand, folks. I understand. Next. I'm going to hold this book because I read all of the trilogy. So I read Belladonna. I gave Belladonna, what did I give this girly pop? I gave her 3.75. I gave Foxglove like a 4. And I gave Wisteria like 4 1/4. 2.5. This was, can't remember the last time I finished a trilogy so fast. Within like a week, I read all 3 books. You follow, what's her name? Signa, this girly pop, as she kind of hangs out with Death. And is kind of mad at Death at the beginning, and then comes to befriend him in a sense. So, I don't really know how to explain like the full premise of this, other than the fact that like she can speak to Death and she's got questions and concerns. I think she ends up having to, at the beginning of this book, all of her current relatives are dead that she can like stay with because her family dies early on. That's not really a spoiler. I'm pretty sure you learn that within like the first 50 pages. And she's sent to this like manor of sorts and is seeing ghosts, hearing things because she's connected to Death. So of course she can see spirits. And so she's trying to figure out the weird mystery of the ghosts and their anger and whatnot at this place. And like the story pursues. I have to say, this one hooked me enough to obviously go into Foxglove. Foxglove, I feel like I really liked. However, there was a part of it that I couldn't stand because I was just like, why can't we have enough screen time? Why can't I have any screen time with people, with couples? Why is that a thing we don't have? And then Wisteria, I loved even more because the start of that had so much sass and banter and bickering. I love the dynamic. However, by the end of that book too, I was like, there's not enough screen time. Why am I not getting any screen time? Why are they like, why is all the screen time off page? However, it was a good time. I swallowed them up in a week. That should tell you something. Next. What Feast at Night? I gave this one, what did I give this one? Like a 3. Okay, me and T. Kingfisher are not friends. I pick up their stuff all the time and I don't like it. And I don't know why I do it, you know? I read, what's the first one? What Moves the Dead? So I read What Moves the Dead as a book club selection for the Literally Dead book club. And there were parts where I was like, ugh, grossed out and like uncomfortable. I read this one and I was like, okay. And this one essentially is like book 2. It continues on from the book 1 in the series, What Moves the Dead. And you just follow the main character. Is the main character Alex? I think. That doesn't seem right. Or maybe it's Easton. I don't really know, honestly. I felt like what they were freaking out about, I was just like, oh, that's our concern. Okay. I don't know. I did not like it, and it kind of makes me sad. It doesn't make me sad. It's just like, I wish T. Kingfisher and I could get along, and we don't. Alright. Next one, I read Systemic. Gave this 4 out of 5. I read this for a book club that I never made it to. I'm so I even RSVP'd, which I hate that I did that. I just did not expect that I was going to have like a full mental breakdown the day of the book club. I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed all day and I was exhausted. So I did not go to the book club. This book is essentially about, obviously you can see, is how racism is making us sick, and it talks about statistically the disparities between like white and black folks, white and brown folks, and the medical misinformation within those communities. And I would say I do believe people when they tell me like, this happened to me, the doctor said this, and was like really crappy to them. I believe people. I know people are treated that way, and I know there is misinformation and miseducation happening. There's just such a stark difference to also like hearing and believing people in your personal life, hearing and believing people on social media, hearing and believing people on the news, but then also getting like the full data points. It is wild to fully understand. I feel like I lacked really the full depth of understanding. I feel like I knew the issue on a surface level, but then to hear some of the things that are still being currently said and like thought in the medical field, mind-boggling and devastatingly upsetting for sure. Actually quite horrific. I would really recommend this one. It's a little bit of a tough read, so I honestly I think I finished it in like 2 or 3 days, because it's not that long of a book. It's a very short nonfiction, but it is very heavy in the sense of just, or like I found it heavy because I was just like, whoa, this is what's being said and done. And like, I think I just stood there like shocked half the time, and I also became like really angry. So next one we have here, this was a buddy read with me and my friend, a memory called Empire. I gave this one a 4 out of 5. Can I tell you a lot about what happened in this book? Not necessarily. You follow this main character. What is their name? Mahit! You follow Mahit as they go from their planet to be an ambassador for their planet. No, not a planet, sorry. Like a space station, because this is sci-fi. As they go to essentially the Empire and take place because the previous advisor has disappeared, has died essentially, and Mahit is now the replacement for it. And so they have to go and take up their responsibilities, but also some weird shit is happening and they have to figure that all out. There's a lot of political intrigue in this book, and did I understand all of it? Excuse me, not necessarily. Did I really, like, there are some points where even at the end of the book I was like, and why is so-and-so attacking this? What? Also, the naming conventions in here, I feel like sometimes led to my confusion, because I was just like, what? However, did I have a good time? Yes. Will I be reading book 2? Yes. I will indeed. I will indeed. So, there's that. Next. And the final book, and honestly, probably the biggest disappointment of the whole month, was Throne of Secrets. I was so excited when I, saw that it was available at my library. I remember reading The Throne of the Fallen and being so, ate it up in 24 hours. Did I read this in one sitting? Yes. That does not mean I had a good time. At least in this case, I did not have a good time. I gave this a 3 if I didn't say. But Throne of Secrets is book 2 of the interconnected standalones of the world of the Kingdom of the Wicked, which is like a YA series about Amelia who makes a bargain with the devil. And adventure ensues. And if you read Kingdom of the Wicked, you're entitled to financial compensation. Because what was that last book? What did Carrie Manasako think she was doing? Ruined that whole series for me, honestly. Truly a bummer. But I did read the trilogy. And I have read book 1. This is book 2. So it follows, because obviously the devil has brothers. Is that a spoiler at this point? I don't think anybody's really watching this, but maybe that's a spoiler. I'm so sorry. But they follow the 7 brothers of the 7 deadly sins. So Wrath is Kingdom of the Wicked. You had, who was book 1 over? Envy? And this was Gluttony. And I could have done without him. Full stop. Honestly, she should have pivoted to lust or greed. Or at this point, give me a little bit of pride. Because why is his wife still missing? Folks, why? Because I don't know what much to say other than this is gluttony. And this story is literally, there's a reporter who can't stand gluttony with every bone in her body. Hates the man. And gluttony is just like, I'm gonna make her life even more difficult. Haha, I'm gonna make her. I just like reading, thinking of that scene again, it's just funny. I'm gonna make her we have to do a romance article instead of like the rumors and gossip she does. So, and she hates romance because of course. It was so meh. I think I kept reading it in hopes that it would get better because I think I was itching for Throne of the Falling feelings and like vibe, and I didn't get it. This was the biggest disappointment for the whole month. I'm like looking at this list and I'm like, yeah, because I had such high hopes. Anyways, that is the 14 books, I believe, that I read in all of October. Bye!